Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a model that launched in 2020, the current generation of the Rolex Oyster Perpetual Submariner Date. This is reference 126618LB Lunette Bleu. This is a timepiece that has a heritage dating back to 1953 when, along with the Blancpain 50 Fathoms, this watch became the prototype of the modern diving watch. So, what's new for 2020 to present? Well, a 41mm case in yellow gold. It is 12.3 millimeters thick. It is 48.2 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip, and if you include the end links of the bracelet, total distance across the wrist is 51.4 millimeters with a 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll pop open the clasp, throw it on my wrist. I have to be honest, although it's larger than the 40 millimeter previous model, it doesn't feel or look any larger. Even as I measure it with calipers, it's hard to find any dimension that's clearly even 1 millimeter larger. I measure it about 0.7 millimeters larger, and other dimensions like lug to lug and thickness are unchanged. So if you can wear the previous model, you can wear this one. It'll easily fit underneath the cuff. It's surprisingly thin for something that is a diver and an automatic. Across the wrist, you can see it's broad enough that I would say you need a wrist of 15 centimeters circumference to wear this watch, but that was the same with the previous watch on the bracelet. Now, the timepiece is very hefty, with solid case back, solid end links, solid center links, and a thick gauge clasp. This watch feels as solid as any other brand's platinum watch, one of the pleasures of owning a modern full bracelet Rolex. The bracelet is handsome. It's the Oyster design. There's a conforming end piece. You can see the bracelet's tapered a little bit. Center links are polished, outer faces are polished, shoulders are satinated. Removable links are fixed by screws, and you can see we do have a half link built in there. We also have a couple of adjustment mechanisms. More on that in a moment. You can see that the clasp features straight through polish over the top, polish on the flank. We have some satination. We have a system that is basically a lift lock. You can see it's spring-loaded and hinged. There's a beak and a hook. These two things latch together. That's the first lock. This is the second lock. There's a little curve to dig your nail in under the crown to pry open the clamshell, and then you pull and unlatch that second locking factor. Make no mistake, this is a double locking clasp. We have a thick gauge, fully polished, single fold deployant clasp. Now, about those adjustments, 20 millimeters of adjustability in 2 millimeter increments. This is glide lock. It's great for fine-tuning the fit, or you can pull it all the way out and use it over a dive suit, or even, if you're like me, high and dry, a thick winter coat or sweater. Rolex has its own foundry, it makes its own alloys, and it makes its own cases, bracelets, and clasps. Rolex also makes its own dials and movements, so everything here is in-house, right down to the shock protection, the ceramic, and the lubricants used. The timepiece includes a bezel with 120 click action. Let's hear it. It's a pleasure to operate, precise and wonderfully refined. It has just enough of a sharp report to feel crisp and mechanical. You can see that the knurling itself, combination of polish and satin, is very sharp, which makes it easy to grip with wet, sweaty, or gloved hands. Trip lock crown in gold, you know that because the center dot is big. The flanking dots are small. There's 3 in total. So trip lock crown in gold, 300 meters of water resistance. We have a ceramic bezel insert for scratch resistance. The little indices and numerals are actually infilled with deposits of gold, so they won't oxidize or tarnish over time. The blue Cerachrome material itself, like the Sapphire, very scratch tolerant. Let's do a quick lume shot here and take a look. As you can see, Rolex also makes its own lume. It is called Chromalite, and it is blue. All of the hands, we'll take one last look there, are lumed. And I probably should have wound this watch before the video, just so it'd be a bit more alive. But you can see that the hands, as well as the indices, are all 18 karat yellow gold, because gold will not tarnish and oxidize or discolor over time, contributing to the longevity of the dial's beauty. You can appreciate that this watch includes a metallic dial base, and about halfway through the production life of the previous sub, Rolex decided that it was going to do away with the lacquered blue dials on all but the previous generation Smurf. So you see here we have that metallic blue rather than what was at one point in the previous generation a lacquer blue. The watch includes a hacking or stop seconds function. It also has a remarkably stable crown. There's not a lot of play or wobble to this crown. That's a mark of quality that you don't find even in considerably more expensive watches. So you saw the hacking seconds, now you see the quick set date system. By the way, how much do you love the serifs on these numerals with the typeface Rolex uses? Solid case back, again 300-meter water resistant watch, caliber 3235, bidirectional winding, now with a rotor bearing rather than the old jeweled staff, 70-hour power reserve, quick set date, hacking second, 4 hertz beat rate, 31 joules, COSC certified Swiss chronometer. It has an overcoil hairspring, Breguet overcoil made by hand, so in any position the watch will keep consistent time. That overcoil is an anti-magnetic niobium zirconium alloy, so the watch is shock resistant, anti-magnetic, and water resistant. Shock resistance, in addition to the rotor bearing, contributed by the free-sprung architecture of the balance and the full balance bridge that better braces the balance structure against shock. Rolex takes the chronometer certified movement, cases it up as a fully assembled watch, tests it in 6 positions, and guarantees it will run no worse than -2 + 2 seconds per day. That is the modern day substantive basis for this term superlative chronometer on the dial. Lots to love, and a Rolex manufacturer built right down to the smallest components. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.